Okay, everyone, welcome to the pre-health clinical labs and forensics overview. My name is Eddie Duffy from the Office of Admissions. I'm going to just kind of be running through this with them. I'm going to switch it over to some of our panel members here in a minute to introduce themselves and begin. For those of you that are attending, if you do have any questions, feel free to drop them into the Q&A section of this Zoom, and we'll be able to have a Q&A period at the end of the presentation. With that being said, I'll turn it over to Lynn.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lynn Gilley. I'm pre-health professions advisor here at Elmira College, and I advise for, almost all the health professions, physician, vet, physical therapy, occupational therapy, you name it. So I'm happy to answer your questions tonight. Why don't we have our students introduce themselves as we go? Destiny, do you want to say a couple things?
Hello, my name is Destiny. I am a biology major and I'm part of the class of 23. I'm a pre-dental student and I'm actually from Elmira, and some of the things I'm involved in is I am the president of Pre-Health Society. So if you guys have any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them.
Great. How about Jenna and Paige?
Hey guys, I'm Jenna. I am a biology major and a clinical lab science major. I'm a class of 23 as well, so I'll be graduating after this year and going on to my clinical year at Rochester, which we'll get into later. But yeah, I'm involved in some clubs too on campus, like ECDM and Chem Club, Tri Beta, which is a biology club as well. So yeah.
I'm Paige. I'm a senior as well, and I'm also a clinical lab science and biology double major. Let's see. I'm vice president of the chemistry club and president of the Tri Beta Biology Honor Society, and I'm also part of Dance Marathon as well.
Nice. How about Riley?
Yeah, hi, I'm Riley. I'm also a senior this year. I am part of the early acceptance program for LECOM, which is one of the medical schools Elmira is affiliated with. I'm a secretary of Pre-Health Club, and I'm in some other clubs like Chem Club, and I'm an RA on campus and all things like that.
And how about Noah?
Hi, my name is Noah. I'm a junior, class of 24. I am a biology major with a concentration in pre-medicine. Not connected to the early advanced program, so I'll just be applying to medical schools the typical way. I'm also part of Tri Beta, Gamma Sigma Epsilon, which is the Chemistry Honor Society, Phi Eta Sigma, which is the Freshman Honor Society. So I can answer any questions about any of those. And that's about it.
All right. How about Dr. Paulson?
Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Abby Paulson. I am an assistant professor here at Elmira College and also the director and advisor for the clinical laboratory science program. And I will be talking about that a little bit later in the presentation.
Thanks. Great. So I'm going to share my screen and see if I can share a few PowerPoint slides with you all and give you a little background about the pre-health professions at Elmira, and make sure you get questions in that Q&A as we go. All right. Let's see. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. So there are some distinctive features about our programs in pre-health. And one of those things is research. Many students do research, and they'll do research throughout the academic year. You can start as a freshman, which not every place might allow. We also have a competitive Obler Summer Research Program that's recently been endowed so that we can offer a competitive stipend. So you get free room and board plus a stipend payment to do research with the faculty mentor on campus. And many times students will go to regional, national, or even international conferences to present the results of their work. We've had students go to the American Chemical Society meetings, Tri-Beta meetings. I've taken students to the Animal Behavior Society meetings, and students have also gone to the Bahamas to present at the Natural History Symposium there. So there are many different ways to get involved with research, and a lot of the professional schools like to see that little extra outside the classroom. So I think research is very useful. Internships are another thing that all students will complete before graduation, and those internships are really critical. Medical schools and other health professions programs want to see that you've had some experience. And an internship is a great way to test the waters and see which healthcare profession is for you. So internships are a great way to do that, and it's part of our degree requirements. Another thing students are often looking for are study abroad opportunities. Our study abroad opportunities are primarily in our term 3. We have our academic calendar set up to have 2 long terms, 12-week terms, and then a shorter 6-week term. Many courses are on campus during that time, but we have travel courses and study abroad opportunities during that 6-week term as well. And this way you're not disrupting the sequence or the flow of your pre-med classes. So you can still get in that full year of physics or the full year of organic chemistry and have the opportunity to travel. The classes here are great. They're small, interactive. We get to know our students really well. And I think that's important when we're writing letters to the professional schools. We can make a very personalized letter. We can speak to how they work with others. And we focus on skills. Students will know how to do PCR, and they'll know how to focus a microscope and do a lot of the scientific skills that you're going to need. We have a special sophomore and junior seminar. The sophomore seminar is more of a critical thinking seminar, and the junior seminar is more for career preparation. So we have guest speakers come in, students will do a self-assessment and mock interviews, really in preparation for that professional school application, so that they feel very prepared when they start to apply. So those are just a few things for Elmira College that I think kind of set us apart. We have a number of different pre-health majors and minors. A lot of our students choose either biology or chemistry, and we have specialized medical or pre-health kinds of tracks for each of those majors. Biochemistry is also very popular. It mixes and matches some of the favorite electives from both biology and chemistry to put together, and that's really great preparation for healthcare professions. In a minute, we're going to talk about the clinical lab sciences. That is its own standalone major, and it has some really great advantages for those that want to work in the hospital setting. And then a few minors that are useful. The medical humanities minor and pre-athletic training minor are popular. And we also have faculty that specialize in nursing and the communication science disorders. All right. Travel courses, The travel courses can be in your major or they can be outside your major. There are quite a few offered across campus. The ones I have featured here are those that are offered within the science division, and they have a more scientific focus. And many of these are field courses in either the Bahamas, Alaska, or the Galapagos. The nice thing is that you don't have the disruption to the medical course sequence. I know several of our students tonight have been able to travel. Would anyone like to speak to their travel experience for just a minute?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know Jenna, Paige, and I, we all went to Alaska for an ecology course last spring during this term 3 trip. That was a lot of fun. Some of the things we did was we went rafting down a river, we went kayaking in the ocean, we went deep sea fishing, we caught a bunch of halibut, and then we got to do a cookout that night. We went hiking, we went on a nature trail, we did a bunch of different things. It was a lot of fun. It was definitely an experience I highly recommend, and it was really nice getting to do it term 3 because it was a 6-credit class, but I only took that class, so I didn't have to worry about like missing out on a bunch of stuff by going to Alaska, and it didn't put me behind on my major at all because it actually overlapped with some of the requirements my major needed.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I can kind of talk about the Bahamas.
Sure.
So when we went down there, a lot of things that we did is we did a lot of snorkeling. We were able to go out on like a boat ride, and we were actually able to go snorkeling right off of the boat. And some of the different things we've seen, like we were able to go out to like a shipwreck and kind of snorkel down near it. We went on a lot of different hikes, and that was actually my first year here when I transferred as a junior. So I was able to make a lot of friends, and they're friends that I then kept throughout my senior year. And it just brought us a lot closer. We were able to learn a lot as well as get to know new people from different majors.
Yeah, I do really like the fact that we have the ability to bring science majors and non-science majors together and kind of get a cross-section across campus. And coming up, we've got some courses going to Italy, the Virgin Islands, the Bahamas again, and London. So we have new and different types of courses each spring. All right. I think I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Paulson for a minute because she's kind of our specialized advisor for clinical lab sciences.
Hello, everyone. So what I'd like to do this evening is start by just describing a little bit about what clinical laboratory science is. This is also called medical laboratory science. And then I'll tell you a little bit about the program that we have here at Elmira College for that. So clinical lab science is really, in a way, the bedrock of medical practice in the United States. Physicians are prescribing medical tests constantly to monitor their patients' health, to diagnose disease conditions, and it's clinical lab scientists that run those tests. I was just looking this up today. The American Clinical Lab Association estimates that there's 7 billion clinical lab tests performed each year in the United States. So, you know, that's incredible, and it's only growing. And something that's so exciting about this field is there's a lot of job growth. There is a higher need for clinical lab scientists right now than there are people to fill positions. So if you have the training, it's, you know, nearly a 100% guarantee that you'll get a well-paying job right away as soon as you finish your bachelor's degree. So let's see, it's a great occupation for people that want to be involved in healthcare, that want to help people, but perhaps, you know, enjoy working in the lab more than they would interacting directly with patients. So if you think that that might describe you, then clinical lab science is definitely something to keep in mind and to check out. So clinical lab scientists work in a lot of different contexts. Some work in hospitals. Others work in veterinary clinics. There are a lot of clinical lab tests performed on animals as well as humans. Universities employ clinical lab scientists to help with the research projects going on at the universities. Pharmaceutical companies employ clinical lab scientists. Forensic science labs use clinical lab scientists. So there are, a whole bunch of different opportunities to work in slightly different contexts. Clinical lab scientists also tend to specialize. Some will specialize in medical microbiology. Some will specialize in histology and do things like diagnose and stage cancer, things like that. Some will specialize in blood work, that's called hematology. Some will specialize in genetic testing. So there's really all kinds of very interesting things that clinical lab scientists do. Okay, so that's just a little bit about the field in general. The program that we have here at Elmira College is very, very nice, I think. We have 3 to 4 years of coursework that students do at Elmira College. Nearly all of our science courses have labs associated with them, so you get a lot of lab experience. And then what students do is they do a year of work at a affiliated hospital medical lab. And that's where they do their final training that they need to take their licensing exams and become a licensed medical technologist in New York State. Something to keep in mind is that you can't become, in New York State at least, a clinical lab scientist with just any old type of bachelor's degree. You specifically need to earn a bachelor's degree in a state-approved clinical lab science program. So there aren't really all that many of those around. So it's very kind of a special thing that we offer at the college. Okay, yes, and there's, as I was saying, very high demand for these jobs right now. There's opportunity for travel, which is really nice because a lot of areas of the country have a lack of enough clinical lab scientists. So you can often do like a temporary kind of traveling positions. We've had past students do that and really enjoy that. But there's a lot of, more stable localized positions as well. So let's see, I think I can move on to the next slide here. So I was mentioning the clinical year. This is something that students do their last year of the program. We have several clinical affiliates. The Guthrie Robert Packer Hospital in Sayre, Pennsylvania. The WCA Hospital in Jamestown, New York. The New York Methodist Hospital in Brooklyn, New York. And also Rochester General Hospital, which is that program's administered by the University of Rochester. Yes, and so let's see, maybe Jenna and Paige would like to say a little bit about where they're going next year and maybe just a little bit about their experience in the program.
So I'm going to Robert Packer next year in Sayre. I'm really happy that I got to do this program. I actually came in with a different major and changed last year. So instead of doing the 3 years, I'm doing the 4. But I think I got a lot out of this program. And some of the classes in this major were things I wouldn't have taken if I was just a straight biology major. Like I got to take immunology, and it was just really interesting to learn those things.
Yeah, likewise with Paige, I kind of learned about the program a little bit later, so I'm doing the 4+1. And like she said, I got to take a lot more science classes that really opened a whole bunch of doors, and I really got to expand my interest in the major of clinical lab science. And I'll be going to Rochester General Hospital next year, and I'm really excited to be working in one of the larger hospitals, out of the selection. So there's a lot to look forward to for me in the upcoming months. So I'm really excited.
Great, thanks so much. All right. Let's take a look next, I think, at some early acceptance programs. Many students apply to a wide variety of programs, but that usually happens in junior or senior year of college. Some students know what they want to do very early on, and you may have an advantage by applying to an early acceptance program. One of the more popular EAPs or early acceptance programs that we have is with LECOM, Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, where we have guaranteed seats. In the medical program, you'd earn a DO degree. So these are physicians, and we have 25 seats available and reserved for our students. For dentistry, we have 5 seats reserved, and for pharmacy, we have 20 seats reserved. There is a branch of LECOM Elmira, just a block and a half away from campus. So it's a very useful program to have because of that close association that we have. You can apply in high school, where you need an SAT score or an ACT score, and that plus your GPA will give you an academic index so that you can be eligible for an interview. And you'll get a provisional acceptance after a successful interview with LECOM. You don't have to take the MCAT exam, which is a benefit. It takes some of the pressure and worry out of the experience, and you can really focus on your undergraduate education without as much stress. Riley, do you want to say a couple things since you're EAP representative?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the main reasons I chose Elmira College, or even discovered, like found out about Elmira College's existence, was because I applied for the early acceptance program when I was in high school as a senior. I was looking for all the affiliates and which ones I wanted to apply to. And that's how I discovered Elmira, and I immediately fell in love with it. And then they opened up the branch in Elmira, like right down the road from where I've been living the past few years. So it definitely has an advantage to it. Not having to worry about MCATs has been super, super like helpful because it's my senior year. I'm graduating a year early, so I don't really have to worry about cramming anything in, studying for the MCATs. I don't have to worry about really looking competitive by joining a bunch of clubs I'm not really passionate about. I can kind of just stick to what I actually enjoy, and I don't really have to, I have something to fall back on, you know? It's definitely nice because it's like after you graduate high school and you went through the whole admissions process for college, it's like after a few years you have to do it all over again. So not having to do it all over again completely is definitely very nice. I highly recommend doing an early acceptance program if you know what you want to do, because I've like since I was in like 3rd grade, I've known exactly what I wanted to do. I'm one of those people. And if you're not, like, no worries, but you can start even if you don't know in high school, you can apply your sophomore year of college and still get into this program. And then based off of what your GPA is when you got in or your SAT when you got in, it varies what you need your college GPA to be like. So they actually personalize it for you, which is super nice. And yeah, that's all I got to say.
Great. It is a good program, and students end up going to either LECOM Elmira, there's a campus at Erie, kind of their main campus, Seton Hill, and there's one down in Bradenton, Florida. We have other early acceptance programs too, with pharmacy programs in Buffalo and Binghamton. And then we have 3 chiropractic special early acceptance programs. We have many other areas that students will go into, but not the early acceptance options. All right. So here's some of our happy students at work in the labs, getting that hands-on experience with our dissections, our physiology experiments, chemistry, biology. So Destiny or Noah, do you want to say a couple things about some of your preparation for your particular pathways?
I can kind of talk about what lab has done for me. I'm kind of a little bit different because I'm going into the dental field. So some of these labs, like dissecting and stuff like that, like when we were in comparative anatomy, we did a lot of dissections in lab. It's definitely helped me when I'm in my internship. I'm able to keep more steady hand. And it's kind of helped me like be able to go into that field and be able to go in and not be like nervous. I feel prepared for those types of things. And just being able to learn different skills. I've been able to do them in research. I do research with Dr. Polson. So that's also another nice thing is prior to doing research, I had some of these skills that were necessary to do that. So that's just another thing it helped prepare me for. And working with a bunch of different students on different labs kind of helped me. So now when I go and work with patients, I'm able to talk to them and I'm able to kind of make them feel comfortable and kind of make the environment a lot more friendly. So it's not like awkward or quiet. So that's just something that's helped me.
Great, thanks. Noah, do you have a particular favorite class?
Yeah, because I can say a little bit about the labs too, is that as a pre-med, a lot of the labs you actually have to take to get accepted in certain programs. So labs like chemistry and biology, we definitely have, and it goes all the way up. I saw a question in the Q&A about biochem lab. We do have that on campus. So basically almost every lab or every science class we have here, there probably is a lab, and a lot of them you actually have to take to get in certain medical programs. So some of the classes like comparative anatomy, I really enjoyed because it kind of gives you a taste for the medical field, memorizing a lot of structures, learning how to study body parts and dissect things is definitely a skill that's crucial for a medical professional. But there's also a lot of other interesting skills that you'll learn along the way, like, you know, in organic chemistry, you'll kind of be pushed on your own to follow lab procedures by yourself and figure out things and learn critical thinking skills. So a lot of the labs are definitely really, really important, even though they don't really seem it. I am not personally a big fan of labs, but I definitely enjoy some of them.
So moving on to professional school is a big step, and our students go all over the place. So if we look at some of the professional schools that students have attended in the last few years, you can see that there is really a wide variety. Many of the schools of medicine, both allopathic and osteopathic, for either the MD degree or the DO degree. So lots of physicians that we've produced. Veterinary medicine, students have gone all over. We've had several students go to Cornell, just up the road for vet med. Dental school, Buffalo's been very popular. Optometry, podiatry, physical therapy. Upstate's been very popular. Utica, Damon. We've had students go Western Carolina University. For the chiropractic, we have a special articulation with Northeast College of Health Sciences. That's just up in Seneca Falls. So students are familiar with that part of the country. And it's been very popular. We've had lots of students go there. Certainly our clinical lab sciences and our pharmacy programs are very well attended. So we send students all over the place. And just to touch on a few of our alumni, we have so many success stories. I can't share them all, but I have just a few listed here. Natasha is a family medicine specialist now. She got one of the Army scholarships. She's doing a fellowship now in wilderness medicine. Great student. Ryan Thompson, he's an ER doctor and he's a flight physician. So he gets to fly on helicopters and do a lot of medevac work based out of Madison, Wisconsin. Macy Van Arnhem, she knew from day one that she wanted to go into be an obstetrician and go into women's health. And that's what she's doing right now. Courtney Robinson, she's a thoracic surgeon, very good student. She was a winner of most of our top prizes. Cassidy Finn is in family medicine in Buffalo. A lot of our students do tend to stay in the Northeast region. And then Emily Bush, she's now a pediatrician. She is one of the kind of founders of the dance marathon that our current students are involved in for raising money for the local hospital's neonatal intensive care unit. We love our alumni. We celebrate their successes, and we're excited to see where our current crop of students are going to go. So if you have any questions about the medical professions at all, email me anytime, lgilly@elmira.edu. And I'm sure Dr. Paulson would be happy to take any questions you might have on the clinical lab science side of things.
Yes, definitely.
So let me stop sharing the screen and we'll see if there's any good Q&A out there.
So yeah, so we'll now begin the Q&A portion. We do have some we were able to answer throughout also. So our first one we'll start with, what is the percentage of students who graduate from Elmira that get into medical school?
That's a great question. It really depends on the year. Some years we'll have 2 students apply and 2 students get in. So we typically tend to run about 100%. Again, with a small program, we have 2 or 3 students in every single profession every year applying. So we'll have 2 or 3 in medicine, 2 or 3 for physician assistant, 2 or 3 in physical therapy, and on and on. So if we happen to have a year where we have 2 students considering medical school, one gets in and one doesn't, that drops our average to 50%, right? So with very small numbers, it's hard to talk about percentages, but the students are prepared and they get into medical school and go on to become successful. Some go out there and work for a couple of years and take a gap year and just get more experience. And then on reapplication, they're in. So we're here to help you figure out your path. And everybody's individual and different. So I think that's my main emphasis. Our students are successful.
We have another question. What is the internship duration for an international student for someone who wants to study biochemistry?
Internships can be arranged for a variety of lengths. The requirement is 120 hours. International students may not have to do an internship, but they're encouraged. And everyone here stateside is required to do an internship. You can do it for credit, and many students will do it term 3. There's a little more wiggle room and time to focus just on that internship. Others will do internship hours throughout a whole academic year, and others will do it during the summer. So it can be for 120 hours. Some will do it for 240. There are no really upper limits to internship. And our career services is very helpful at administering the internship program and helping students find the placement that's right for them.
Perfect. So the next question we have is, how do students do go into an occupational therapy program? And do you have any colleges that we work with?
So for occupational therapy, most of the students that I've seen that go into occupational therapy tend to major in psychology. And a lot of them double major, psychology and biology. The preparation is, like anatomy and physiology. It's a prerequisite. A lot of the psychology courses are prerequisites. And for occupational therapy, we've had students go to Utica, and it's not the same as physical therapy. The students get that mixed up sometimes. But many of the physical therapy schools also have kind of a joint program with occupational therapy as well. So we have students that will do that. Some intend to work in schools. Many schools hire occupational therapists, and then many other like clinical settings will hire occupational therapists. So we get a mix.
Awesome, perfect. We had another question here as well. Can you become a marine veterinarian with one of these medical fields?
Okay. Marine veterinarian. Yeah. So for veterinary medicine, you can specialize in various areas, and you would specialize once you got to vet school. So it sounds like you might be interested in either wildlife veterinary medicine or maybe like a marine vet at someplace like SeaWorld, perhaps. We've had a lot of students go to aquariums and zoological parks and do that kind of medicine. So it's good to get that kind of hands-on experience in the internship. And then it's also important to do some research and to get a broad variety of experiences, especially in something like pre-vet. So many places just kind of focus on cats and dogs. And if you're interested in something like marine biology, you'd want to have a broader range of experiences with that.
This next question, I'm probably going to ask those of you students who are on our panel that have studied abroad. We have a question: how does room and board work when studying abroad in places like the Bahamas?
I can answer this one. So for us, it was only a 2-week trip. The Bahamas, I believe, was the same length. Some of them are longer, some of them are shorter. For us, COVID was still on like its end point, but it was still around. So ours were shorter than some of the ones that they offer now. The Alaska trip is always 2 weeks, but it is one of the shorter ones that they offer here. What they do is the teachers of the trip will actually plan it out and organize it. So you pay a little bit extra for going abroad as you normally would, and part of that's going into your room and board. So what we did for Alaska is we stayed in cabins, like locally owned cabins in the middle of the woods, which is really cool because you would just see like moose walking around randomly. For the Bahamas trip, I believe they were on a campus, right, Destiny?
Yes, they have a like a research center there, so we had room to be able to stay in on campus.
Yeah, so it differs depending on where you're traveling, but it's always something that the teacher sets up, and it's just part of like you pay however much, they'll tell you however much it would cost to go abroad, and it differs depending on where you're at. But then the teacher will set up some place to stay for you.
And the term 3 room and board fee that you would normally pay for living on campus, that gets credited back to the student's account because you're not on campus. So that is part of the accounting that takes place when we're looking at the course fees for term 3.
And if there is, we did have one we had a few that were sent in earlier before this Zoom started. If there is any of the attendees that do have a couple of last questions, now is the time to definitely throw those in the Q&A. If not, these will definitely be some of the last few here. I think this one is probably a little bit more geared towards our panelists. What has been your favorite class so far in the pre-health major?
I'll go first again. My favorite wasn't, well, actually a class, but a lab. I really liked organic chemistry lab. And you're like, Riley, organic chemistry? That's disgusting. No, hear me out. Okay. We got to make like moonshine in lab. We got to make nylon string in lab. We got to do all these fun things. We made aspirin. We were given like an unknown over-the-counter medicine, and we were told how to like test it in order to identify which medicine it is. It was a lot of things because I feel like a lot of times in labs, they're not like real world applications. But for this, it was stuff that I was like, oh, I can see how this would actually be useful. Like how like this would help me understand real world concepts versus just an abstract, like learning how to use the tools for some point in the future where you might use it for like real world concepts. So it was more like of a direct knowledge transfer, and I really liked that. So that was my favorite, was organic lab.
Anyone else? Destiny? Okay, go ahead.
Yes. My favorite class was comparative anatomy. I know I kind of mentioned earlier that the lab really helped with kind of having a steady hand, but I also just like being able to see different types of animals and kind of compare similar or different structures that they had. So I thought that was really interesting. And that was kind of like the first class that I actually opened up and started talking to people. That's like where Riley and I met, and we've become really close since then. Because as a transfer student, I was really quiet, but we had open labs, so we were able to go in with the academic fellows and kind of work with them and work more one-on-one with the other students. So I thought that was kind of fun.
I can go too. My favorite class that I've taken at Elmira is biology of cancer, which is a higher level biology course that you can take. It's just it's an elective, not a requirement. I took it with a previous professor, but in the future it'll be taught by Dr. Paulson. It's a really interesting course because it kind of takes all of the sciencey things that you learn in college and applies it to something you see every day. Everybody talks about cancer as one of these looming diseases that everybody is afraid of and everything, but often as scientists, we don't really get a chance to look at it from a scientific perspective, more just an emotional perspective. So it's a really interesting course to take when you want to try and connect it to the biology and the genetics of it.
My favorite biology class that I've taken so far is definitely microbiology. It was really interesting, learning about and also working with all the different types of bacteria that we have in the lab, and just really building that foundation and realizing that there are so many small microscopic microbes that you have no idea about. And I remember one time for lab, one of the first things that we did in lab was swab something random, and people would swab professors' keyboards or their light switches, and they would put it on the TSA player, the medium that we use to grow bacteria, and it was kind of disgusting, but it was also really interesting to see all the things you don't realize that are everywhere, on the desktops, computers, phones. It was just a very eye-opening class and very interesting all the time.
I think my favorite class would probably be genetics. That was one of my first biology classes that was more specialized or specified than just general biology. And for the lab portion, I feel like this is when I started to really realize how much I like doing the lab work. And our big project for the end of lab was we swabbed our cheek, and then we tested to see if we had the alleles for caffeine sensitivity or not. So I thought that was really cool.
So we do have 2 more questions. These will probably be the last ones for the session. I think I might know the answer to the first one, but I'll throw it out to the panel. Will a high school credit for anatomy and physiology through another college transfer over for nursing?
Oh, for nursing?
Yeah, so what I was
Yeah, it should.
It should, right?
Yes. Yes.
I know for us in admissions, when we speak with our students that are trying to transfer some courses in that they've taken through another institution, as long as we offer that course, which we do, and you get a C or higher, then we will take it. So, and then finally, the last question is what type of dissections will they do in nursing? Not quite sure on that one.
Yeah, for nursing, that's hard. I personally don't teach the nursing courses. There is the anatomy and physiology course that is offered. Yeah, and that's focusing on human biology. There's some heart dissections and some demonstrations, some, working with bones, dried specimens, some computer work and simulations. So it's a big mix of human specimens, models, and actual specimens in addition to some virtual labs.
Okay, perfect. Well, I would like to thank everyone for joining us for this overview. Thank our panel for your time this evening. Thank you guys. And to our attendees, thank you guys for joining. If you guys do have any other questions, feel free to shoot them an email. Feel free to shoot us an email on admissions. And thank you guys again. With that being said, we're all set, good to go. Thank you guys again.